And we're live.
But other than that,
Curse and the Mark of Cain. Yeah, Mark of Cain is what I was looking for.
Mark of Cain. What does it say?
The Curse of Cain and the Mark of Cain are phrases that originated from the story of Adam and Eve in the Jewish and Christian Bibles. In the stories, if someone did something to harm Cain, the damage would come back sevenfold. Some interpretations view it as a physical mark, whereas other interpretations see the mark as a sign and not a physical marking on Cain himself. I also have seen paintings where Cain was given horns, and
yeah, they got a little dramatic back in the day.
It was a story about. I mean, the first part of the story was literally a snake. That's what they begin with, like a talking snake, like tempting a woman into not eating a magical apple. I don't think they're going too far out on a limb if they give Cain horns for killing his brother.
Well, and I mean, Eve gets a bad rap for that because Adam was there too.
She deceived Adam. She was. You're gonna listen to your wife.
Yeah.
The mark of the beast thing.
Oh, go ahead.
You know what it is? To me, it sounds crazy, right? And I talk to my father, and he'll say things like, "The Bible is a perfect book. It's never been wrong. It's completely infallible. Everything about it is perfect. It's the Word of God. There's no way it could not be the Word of God. Otherwise, it wouldn't be so perfect because man's so fallible." And the mark of the beast thing, like he seriously entertained the idea that it was the new iWatch, right? Because I think it goes on your hand and you can use it to pay, and it has Apple Pay in it. And
yeah, you can do it with your phone, right? Why wouldn't the phone be the mark of the beast?
Because
why is making it smaller? And it's not like when you put it on your wrist, you're
microchip
stuck.
that you can have put in your palm to like RFID things. Like
I didn't know
lots
about
of stuff
that. But the watch has Apple Pay, I think, built into it, and you can pay with it. And I think the mark of your beast, it tells you where it goes. Is it like on the back of your right hand or the wrist of your right hand or something?
You may be right. I don't recall. I think it was on forehead. Yeah, that's what Chiz is saying. Forehead? I guess he looked it up.
Yeah, I always thought it was on the forehead.
Oh,
I think either forehead or hand. I think one of those.
Yeah,
it doesn't matter. It's not real.
Yeah, we were New Testament Christians. We really focused on like the forgiveness and the universal love and.
Where is the?
Yeah. Not so much on ripping on people who eat shellfish or mixed fabrics.
The almost every lesson.
Actually, it was to receive a mark on their right hand or on their foreheads. So
I'll take the hand.
Yeah, right.
The way that's always portrayed is like a 666. It seems like.
Yeah,
it's not an iWatch in the Bible.
Which like the Bible has enough traction now that if it was like new from Apple, 66 and the iPhone 666, like they'd be like, we just finished 10. Like, what the fuck are you doing?
Yeah, how'd that happen?
It's not going to work.
They did
out.
skip 9
through it. Yeah,
they're on their way.
Did they really? I don't.
They did skip 9. There's a reason. Oh, because it was their 10-year anniversary, and they didn't do anything special for the 9, like, or something happened.
Yeah, I just think the Bible's full of like contradictions, though.
It's a perfect book.
It seems like they're always contradicting. I bet if you Google biblical contradictions, you'd have like pages of them. It seems like it's always saying do this, do that, and one breath it's like, oh, forgive this, forgive that, love your enemies like your brother, do unto them as you would have do unto you, and then the next chapter it's like, what talking about how to sell your daughter, and I love that. I've been watching The West Wing, and I just got to the part where Josiah, the president, like owns that Christian chick in there. He's like, I was wondering, what would be a good price to sell my daughter for, and also my brother. He's been planting 2 crops in the same field. Should I stone him to death, or can I have someone else do it for me? And he's like going through all.
I noticed you're wearing 2 different fabrics. What would be a good punishment for you?
Yeah,
my daughter had shellfish. Should I kill her? Like that?
A stern beating should be enough. Yeah, there's a lot of contradictions in the Bible. I mean, the Moses story I told last week had contradictions. Like, there's a huge thing about how, God gave free will to man so they could make their own decisions and choose whether or not to follow him and spend eternity with him in heaven. Like, aside from the fact that you can't give someone free will, that's kind of tautological, right? Like they didn't have a choice to accept it, so it was forced upon them in a way. But God breaks his own rule. With Pharaoh, he's like, God, I'm going to send frogs, like plague number. Actually, frankly, like plague 1, when I turn all the water to blood, anyone on earth is going to go, Jesus Christ. Yeah, sure. I'll whatever. Let him leave. Like, but God knew that would happen, purportedly. And so he had to jump into his own scheme and be like, but I gotta toy with this guy. I gotta change the stats on his hard heart to make sure he doesn't ruin my whole play that I'm basically making here. So there's so many contradictions in the Bible, but it's the same. A lot of people are with like any kind of religion or political thing, where like they have a foregone conclusion. Oh, am I breaking up?
Yeah, you're fine now.
It seemed to get better.
Oh, I was like people go into things with a foregone conclusion, where it's like, with the Bible, any new information you receive, you already have your mind made up, so you just assimilate that information into your pre-constructed worldview. Like you don't allow it to take you off course. Same with like all the people who are like, oh, what Trump is doing is 4D chess, and it's like, no, you've already made your mind up, and then anything he does gets in. You suck that into your pre-packaged worldview. No matter what he does, it's 4D chess. Or no matter what God says or does, or what happens on the earth with, earthquakes and tornadoes and innocent children dying under bridges, like you got to force that in there. Like it's interesting.
Yeah, it's meant to be a book of allegories. These are
really
supposed
meant
to be.
Are you sure? I'm sorry, I cut you off. Is it meant to be a big scam someone ran a long time ago? A way to not have a normal job?
All right, well, it's all of the above.
It's about to get money out of people by making them your followers. Is that what it still is?
It's that too. Well, that's religion, right? But the Bible's stories are often, some of them have historical basis. That's been proven. Like the locations, the timelines in some situations are just factually accurate. There's geological evidence and corresponding texts from other religions and other parts in the world that agree that like certain things in there just happened, like historical facts are present. But a lot of the stories are allegories. They're just like Aesop's fables or fairy tales or bedtime stories. That are meant to be cautionary tales, or you're meant to take something from them beyond the literal interpretation. You're not supposed
to teach you a moral lesson.
It's not supposed to be about, oh shit, well God, David just slew a Goliath. That's a story about a tiny Jewish man who beat up a giant whose shield was as large as a car hood. No, it's not. Mm-hmm. It's about overcoming overwhelming odds, but with ingenuity and faith in yourself. But people take it so literally. None of those stories that are mystical and magical are meant to be taken literally.
The Catholic Church embraces evolution. Officially, they're like, this is the way that God made everything. And if I were a Christian or religious, I feel like that would make more sense. You'd be like, if God is great, why wouldn't he be able to do it this way?
But one of the challenges for me, like when you do the whole religion versus science thing, is that science says this is a theory and this is the way we think until we're proven wrong. Religion says we are right. We can't possibly be wrong. Anyone who disagrees with me is wrong. And then they hold on to that position until it is completely indefensible and then change it. And it's like, but wait, no, you were the can't change party. You made these rules, not me.
Yeah, it's
right.
That's when you get into the human factor of the whole thing. Like when there was a point where a bunch of Roman senators sat around and voted on which books went in and which books went out, what stuff should be cut and what should be left in. They literally.
That wasn't Roman senators. That was the Council of. It was either the Council of Nicaea or the Council of Trent.
What was
where they basically
were they a governing
through,
body of?
Oh, I don't know specifically.
I thought that was Constantinople. Like after
Constantine just made it the official religion of the Roman Empire after he won a battle where he thought he saw a cross or something as he was fighting, or a star. I don't remember exactly.
The night before, he saw like a flaming cross in the sky and took that as a sign. And so the next day before battle, he had the crucifix put on all the shields of his men, and they won the battle. And so he converted the Roman Empire to Christianity. Whereas before they'd been, burning them alive and pouring hot lead down their throats and feeding them to lions and shit.
Yeah, they didn't treat Christians too well in the beginning, and then they got
That's an
treated much
understatement.
better. So
Yeah, then it became the fucking Roman official religion, right? They got rid of all those Roman gods. Man, those Roman gods are cool. All even in the Greek gods, like I wish we had that. Like if that was still a religion, that's just such a much cooler religion. How each like part of life has its own god, and like there's a I like that a lot. The Catholics kind of have that with the saints, though, right? Which I find bizarre.
oh yeah,
personally.
my I don't know if you guys have any Catholics in your family.
No.
My dad's side of the family is very Catholic, which just means every family gathering is a lot of fun because they get wine drunk and nobody, it's just a good time. But my grandma used to keep these like patron saint statues around, and there's a patron saint for fucking everything. She was trying to sell her house, and so she kept like the patron saint of real estate. Like
I had
like
no
just
idea
a
that'd be a
statue
thing.
in the back. It's everything. Like there were apparently a lot of good saints, and I guess like the first 24 took all the good shit. So then in later life, they're like, you have a lot of children. You can be the patron saint of kindliness. And they're like, that one got taken up 400 years ago. And they're like, all right, how do you feel about like car washes? Like, and it's like, all right, the patron saint of fresh breath.
My
Like it's just
my wife is Catholic to some extent, and she often prays the patron saint of lost things. Is it Saint Andrew? I forget. But yeah, you can't find your car keys or exactly where the peanut butter is in the pantry. That's who you pray to.
Jesus.
Yep, Saint Anthony, the patron saint of lost items. Oh, which literally this came up. People also ask, which saint helps you sell your house? Yeah, you can choose to bury Saint Joseph 1 feet underground, again, to make Joseph work harder to leave the ground and quickly find a nice home. That's
not cool.
Next to your
What is this, Kill Bill?
sign, even if it is in the front yard.
I'm going to
Once
start
your house is
worshiping
sold,
a frog.
dig up the Saint Joseph statue and give it a place of honor in your new home.
So frustrating.
Man.
Yeah, whenever I see that in a movie, that's really the only place I get, I see that is when they're breaking out a necklace with a saint on it. They're like, oh yeah, this is Saint Jubity Jew. He's the patron saint of lost causes, home personal computer repair, and soft drinks. Well, that sounds pretty good. That's my guy. All right. It's so fucking stupid. It's so fucking stupid. They believe that I get believing there's an omnipotent God up there. I almost sign off on that. But to believe that there's some dead guys up there hanging out with God, and they're like, what are they? They're like a phone bank, and like each of them are like receiving those calls, lost keys in home sales department. How can I help you? Yeah, Saint Anthony here. Like is that what the fuck is that? That's so retarded.
The whole thing seems retarded from my shoes, right? Like it's just like, look, this thing all started because people couldn't explain rainfall or dry summers or something, and now we've advanced all the way to helping you find your car keys, and it's the most perfect book to have ever been written. Yet there's contradictions and there's morality things in there that don't fit any reasonable standard of morality anymore. Like Jeb Bartlett pointed out in the TV show. And it's just like, God, you're the one who came up with this is all perfect rule set. And it's clearly wildly, like it's shattered all over the place. It doesn't make much sense to me. But I haven't been given the gift of faith, apparently.
You have not. And again, ironically, if God is handing out the gift of faith to people, that's impacting their free will. So it's not really free.
Taylor,
if he can give faith to people.
I just found a website full of Taylor's Bible stories.
What?
Yeah, like not yours specifically, but
is it called that?
It's this deism website. Like here's one for zombies. Here's references to zombies in the Bible. I haven't pre-read this, so forgive me. Starting at Matthew 27:50 and reading through verse 53, we see that. Let's see. Let me put the center screen.
Well, this could be a boon for the show. Yes.
Whoever the author of the Gospel of Matthew was, as well as the Christian leaders who voted the Bible to be the Word of God and voted the Gospel of Matthew into the Bible, wanted people to believe that Jesus, when he had cried again with a loud voice, yielded upon up the ghost, and behold, the veil of the temple was rent in twain. Oh, I hate this writing. God
It's
wrote
perfect.
this from the top of the mountain, and the earth did quake, and the rocks rent, and the graves were opened, and many bodies of saints which slept arose, and came out of the graves after his resurrection, and went into the holy city, and appeared unto many. Based on this biblical nonsense, we are to believe that when Jesus died on the cross on Friday, the gospel contradicts each other regarding the time of the alleged crucifixion, with John 19:14 claiming that it was after the 6th hour, and Mark 15:25 claiming that it was after the 3rd hour that they crucified him. The graves around Jerusalem opened up, and the dead bodies came back to life. These zombies hung out in their graves from sometime on Friday until Sunday morning, at which time Jesus allegedly came back to life too, at which time the zombies in the cemeteries around Jerusalem actually went into the holy city of Jerusalem and appeared unto many. This is literally about zombies. This is literally about zombies.
It is.
Great. If you look on the left side of the column, whole bunch of these.
Well, look for these in future PKAs to come.
I found a whole website of biblical contradictions, and that's not saying anything because there were hundreds of these. Because, I even went through the phase where I was like super, super anti-religion, because having been raised that way my whole life, and like you finally kind of figure out like, hey, this isn't real. Like, this is made up. Like, you feel lied to almost, right? Like it doesn't cross your mind. It doesn't cross your mind as much of like, oh, these people, they sincerely believe it and they thought they were doing the best they could to raise you, like as far as teachers or pastors and shit. Like, your first instinct is like, fuck, I've been lied to. They must know it on some level too.
And defrauded.
Like, yeah, well, I didn't give money to the church.
I did.
Why?
This is what you did. They pass a fucking plate around like
and
pity
I
donations.
to the next person.
I gave money to the church, hoping that Hope would get into their kindergarten, and she
did. You?
Not exactly. She was at like the top of the wait list, so she would have.
Oh, it's time for a hate crime.
Yeah, dude, I've talked about this church too many times, but they ruined church for me. Like, we were gonna give it a shot. It wasn't that I was really into God. I was just kind of looking for a community.
Fellowship.
Yeah, it was like, all right, so here's a place I could meet people. They'd be my friends. They'd be families, perhaps good people. Who knows? And like, I could be part of a church community and like just see I'll give it a go. What the hell? And the church was just too hardcore. Like, oh, do you want your kid to go to school here? We'll need your time, your talent, and your treasure. Treasure, especially. Yeah, that's kind of the big one. And
the first two don't really matter. Yeah.
And yeah, they just and like, I thought we gave a lot. And oh, by the way, like, it wasn't like they do pass the plate around, but more than that, they ask for your like bank account details and permission to make automatic withdrawals.
Mm-hmm.
And that didn't sit right with me. Like, that just seemed like
that's skeevy as fuck.
Like
you're supposed to be giving out of the goodness of your heart, not like a electrical
Woody
bill.
doesn't even let Netflix auto debit. He's month to month, baby.
Every month he mails in that money order.
You know what? I'm sure this isn't the attitude they're going for, but to me, like, if times got tight, right? Like, if something went wrong, the donations might be one of the first things that dry up. That's probably the church says that should be the last thing that dries up. But like, when fucking mortgages need to be paid and people need to be fed and clothed and such, the church might have to take a rest on their, hand in my pocket. And when they were doing the sort of automatic deduction thing from my bank account, I didn't sit right with me.
Yeah, they would always just pass the plate around, and we throw cash in there.
Mm-hmm.
And I just remember thinking, like, I asked at one point as a child,
Mm-hmm.
how do we get the money to God? Is he show up and like the money just disappears like a tooth fairy type scenario, or
Sunday of the month?
And my mom's like, well, this is God doesn't get the money. That bald fucker up there who's telling all them lies does. Of course, that's not what she said. She said the preacher gets all the money. And I was like, you mean that guy up there with that nice suit that lives in that big house next door? Yeah, him. I think he's doing okay. What's he doing with it? Well, it pays his salary and for all the church materials. I'm like, when's the last time we saw a new Bible in here? It's not like he's what do you need to get volume 2? Like is there a new one coming out?
We've been using the same hymnals for hundreds of years.
Yeah, it's not like we're like coming up with
last 100 years.
Mm-hmm. Nobody's spitting out new hymns. It's like, all right, now we're handing out.
Once a month, you got 15 old ladies coming in here cooking up a bake sale to raise money, where everybody's throwing in $5 or $10 or $20 a piece into this bucket
per muffin.
And this fucker's getting up there and telling us lies for 2 hours a week. He's got a hell of a racket. That was the moment where I should have seen that the Church of Kyle could be a great thing. If I had started on that day, I would be established by now. Forget flamethrowers.
Who the fuck is the guy from Waco, Texas?
Don't say David Koresh.
You'd be David Koresh by now. You'd be David Koresh by now, Kyle.
But that's the thing about the Church of Kyle. It would never work long term because one of the key tenets
That's
is
a beautiful moment. Don't say David Koresh.
Yeah, no, I mean, obviously
you know much about David Koresh.
Obviously, your church is going to involve fucking everyone in the church in one way or another.
Allegedly.
Until the fucking feds come in and ruin the Church of Kyle.
Alive.
One thing in favor of church.
You're thinking of Madam Albright or whoever.
Davidians. They were burnt alive.
Yeah. Well, the feds did that, not Koresh. Koresh was happy to just keep fucking.
He was burnt along with them.
Yes, but he's not a burn. He's not. It was the government that did the burning. Koresh received the burn. I felt like you were painting David Koresh in a harsh light.
Who was it that did the Jonestown? That's what it was, where everybody killed themselves.
That's not what Kyle would do.
No, but there's audio of him like talking to his congregation, I suppose, and like convincing them, like, yeah, and make sure your kids drink this too. You'll be with them soon. Yeah. Like, tell the kids to stop crying. Like, you hear like children and women like weeping and crying, and he's like, tell everyone to stop crying. Just tell them it's it's the medicine that they need, and you'll all be together soon. You'll all be together soon.
The term drink, the
so
phrase drink the Kool-Aid comes from, because the poison was in Kool-Aid.
It was in Flavor Aid.
Yeah, that's why that's sort of synonymous with buying into sort of a lie or a scam. Once you drink the Kool-Aid, you're in.
Who's saving money buying Flavor Aid versus Kool-Aid when you're putting it into a suicide beverage? Just spring for the name brand. Like you don't need it.
I put it on my MasterCard.
Where were you? Yeah, right.
Ooh, I bought it at a grocery store, 2% back. Like,
I don't know. Religion just seems like such a horrible thing.
See, the community that it provides is valuable, I think.
Yeah,
like
I agree.
Like the whole thing. What he was talking about, wanting a community.
A softball team provides, except you don't have to. Your money goes to equipment, and there's no threat of going to hell.
And you get to get drunk.
Absolutely.
In the middle of the game.
Baptist.
If you drink at church, they frown on it unless it's from their nasty ass cup that everybody else's lips are on.
Yeah.
Did you guys ever take communion?
No, never did that. Maybe once, but I wasn't part of it. I think I saw that happen once. But yeah, I wasn't part of that. I didn't want. I was honestly, and I think it was grape juice too.
Yeah, most like non-Catholic places do grape juice, but I remember doing it at Catholic church, like when I'd go there with family who was Catholic, and like you walk up there to the old ass priest, and then he like you can either stick your tongue out or put your hand out, and I was shocked at how many people just stuck their tongue out for him to like place this wafer on.
Boink.
And it's like, that's disgusting.
Nomine Patri, Filio Sancte, herpes on you.
Yeah, he's doing all that, and it's like, no, just right in the palm, thanks. I'll take the flesh of Christ back at my seat.
Why is it? It sounds to me like in your head, it's much cleaner to receive it in your palm. But it's not. There's just an extra hand in the transaction.
But his hand, that's true. I didn't thought that, but I was just thinking like his hand is like at least touching a couple people's tongues. Like he's not like throwing it like a hibachi. chef, where he's like, "Hey, you up there? I got a little God for you."
So what you want is
I love church.
you need everyone to be at the School of Taylor, because as it is, you're just adding a hand to the mix. But if everyone took it in their hand, they wouldn't be part of the problem. I get it. I went to a Jewish ceremony, and I felt like the Jewish people were way better at, like, they were way more inclusive, you know? When it's time to receive the body of Christ or whatever, they're like, no, what do you take a seat back here? You're not in our secret spy club, right? But if you go to the
Jewish church,
church, they're like, yeah, fucking, you know, like, you want to wear a hat? Here's a hat for you. Join us. And, you know, I think they were, the yarmulke. And they were handing out food, and like, you want some? Yeah, here's like an extraordinarily flat cracker. It's all yours. Knock yourself out. And, you know, and I know in my heart that like the Jewish people are actually kind of closed ranks with regards to who gets actually considered to be a Jew, right? You could become a real Catholic. They'll let you in the church, right? You can go, yeah, I'm Catholic, and fine, doors open, right? But you can't become a Jew, right? They're like, no, you'll never be a real Jew. You know, that's not the thing. We're part race, not just religion. And but if you go to the ceremony, they're much kinder.
I don't think anything that you've said over the last 2 minutes is accurate.
I think it is. I'm sticking by it.
They don't. But Jewish people don't believe in Jesus, and so they wouldn't give you communion. It's
not communion, of course. I'm not saying they give you actual communion, but there was food involved, and they were happy to share it.
Oh,
look, it's been a while.
I'm not Jewish.
I've become a Jew as well.
You can not an actual Jew. No, they don't think of you the same way. No.
Woody's actually
like Jared Kushner.
Woody's correct in this, is that you can become Jewish, but it's not like becoming Catholic. Like you walk into a Catholic church and you're like, "Hey, can I be Catholic?" And the priest is like, "It's Friday, get out of here." Like, of course, sure, show up on Sunday. Like, if you want to become Jewish, you have to go through way more. Like, if you want to be Jewish, you have to like put in time and like.
Even when you put in the time, you're only halfway in the club.
About Latvian Orthodox.
I feel like this is being overlooked. Like, even when you become Jewish, you're only halfway in the club. Like,
you're not ever a true. I know what you're saying. Like, you'll never be looked at the same way as someone who has a Jewish mother, which is like the main check mark of, are you Jewish? Is your mom Jewish? Okay, then you're Jewish. Like,
yeah, that's what I'm saying. So anyway,
what food were they giving you at a synagogue?
I think I remember having matzah. No, what the hell are their little crackers called that like don't rise?
Oh yeah, matzah.
Is that what it is? Yeah. I feel like I'm mixing.
I live near quite a few, or there's a lot of Jewish people in the St. Louis area, and so all the stores, like grocery stores you walk into this time of year, there's tons of that shit all over the place.
Yeah, you know, it's been so long. I don't remember if the food was part of the ceremony or whatever, but I really felt included. It also probably helped that I was a kid. You know, like if you're, I would have to be under 12 because I lived in that part of New Jersey. So if you're 10 years old and they're not like, you know, what's this guy doing? You know, keeping tabs, whatever. Somebody brought their friend.